Let me now bring on board Mr. R. Shankar Raman, Member of Board and Chief Financial Officer with L&T. Shankar, morning. Thank you for joining us. Shankar, first, a word on yesterday's policy action by Reserve Bank of India, and do you feel that it's a matter of not quarters but months Reserve Bank of India will cut rates? And broadly speaking, how will this benefit your company? Because you are a borrower. If rates they come down, obviously this will reduce your borrowing cost and this will expand your operating profit margins.
I think first and foremost it's a positive step that Reserve Bank has taken. We as a company are very happy that growth has come back to the discussion table as an agenda item. For the last 15-18 months, I think inflation, and rightly so, has been the preoccupation of the policymaker, and hence all the steps that were taken was to rein in the inflation. We find conditions turning somewhat. The commodity prices are beginning to soften. Oil still is a worry, given the fact it is a geopolitical issue. But for a moment, setting aside oil, if we do believe that we can hold inflation back to the levels which are more acceptable on a sustainable basis, Reserve Bank definitely would look forward to do things that would enable the investment to return back to the programs of the corporates. So we're positive about the development, and I think it changes the sentiment from complete negativity to some amount of optimism.
Mr. Raman, after witnessing a surprise cut of 50 bips in CRR, do you see more liquidity will be able to spur capital investment in the country, or you think key policy rates need to be cut for that?
Actually, we cannot talk about growth with the kind of liquidity constraints that was prevalent in the system. So I think first and foremost, Reserve Bank had to deal with the liquidity correction, which they have done. And I'm sure if required, they could continue this liquidity release program through their policies in the subsequent credit announcements, policy announcements. But for investments to happen, I think two things are very important. One is the long-term capital providers will have to get on to the supporting mode. Today, there is a lot of apprehension about the viability of the projects, given the way the projects are positioned. Secondly, government through its policy prescriptions should take steps that would encourage investments, that would infuse confidence in the minds of investors to come out with a program. See, ultimately, given the fact that India is so underinvested and so much of work requires to be done, so much capacity creation potential exists and employment generation opportunity exists, it is just a matter of getting all the priorities together in some coordinated way, and then investments and growth will come back to the system.
Shankar, the IMF or the International Monetary Fund too has cut their India forecast from 7.7% to 7%. Do you see in the near term the environment is still challenging and you will struggle to expand your balance sheet?
I think 7% estimate is a realistic estimate. We should acknowledge that the conditions have been very challenging over the last 12 months. The way the issues are up against us when it comes to a project company or a capital good company, in my opinion, it's going to take a good, hard and smart working for the next 12 months to be able to get onto the right side of the investment momentum. My sense is that we would see another year of flattish growth before we see robustness coming back. So I don't think we should be very disappointed with 7%, given the fact many parts of the world are reporting negative growth and growth very close to 0%. 7% I think is still a good growth, and this is inflation adjusted. So the nominal growth is even higher. So I think it is a level which is acceptable. We need to ensure that we don't slip back further, but do things that will take this growth forward.
Mr. Raman, what are your expectations from the 13th five-year plan, as infrastructure was the sunshine sector and it's now the dark horse? Do you see many reforms that will spur investment back in the sector?
I think the transportation infrastructure is doing okay. I think investments are happening, be it in the roadway or urban infrastructure in form of metro rail, etc. The issue is power. Bulk of the investments for infrastructure development would be driven by the investments that are required in the power sector. There, right from generation, covering the fuel linkage, environmental clearance, water availability, right down to the distribution end, which is the reforms for the tariff and the electricity boards, getting back to better health. The whole chain needs reform, and it would be very healthy if the entire sector is taken up for deep reforms. And if that were to happen, I am pretty confident infrastructure growth will come back. Talking from the point of view of a 13th five-year plan, I think it's important to plan well. What has been ailing us as an economy is there's been a big shortfall between what we plan and what we achieve. If we can focus, and through policies, through reform process, through responsible participation by all the participants, if we are able to bridge the gap between plan and actual achievement, India, in my opinion, is a place to be, and I'm very optimistic that we cannot deny India its due in terms of infrastructure development for too long.